Hello, my friends. So let's talk about self-love. What is that? How do we access a sense of love for our suffering self, for, for ourselves when we're going through a very difficult time? Often, when we're really in our pain, when we're really in our wounding, when our child, when the wounding and fear and uncertainty of our child arises into the moment, is triggered by life. And we feel the fear, and we feel the doubt, or we feel the pain. The experience is often that when I'm so in that, I can't find the love to love the pain. Because this is what heals. Love is what heals the pain, the fear, the wounding, the shame, the uncertainty, is to be held in love, compassion, allowing, pure love that doesn't shame, that loves everything. But how do I access that love when I'm so in the pain? And what I want to offer for you today is that this is why we have a practice of awakening that love that is the essential nature of our being. To awaken that pure love of consciousness within which a story or an experience of pain, uncertainty, doubt can arise. It's like a darkness that arises into the light so that it can be bathed in light. But how do we access that when we're so in the pain? And the invitation is to attend to your practices of awakening the direct experience of that pure, unwavering love that you are, that you always are. When the mind and its narratives aren't veiling that love. You're still that love, but typically we don't know it because we're so in the story of the egoic self. So we want to wake that love up so that it is always present, even when we are experiencing all manner of the dynamics of our personal experience, of our egoic experience. So here's an analogy that might help. It's an analogy you've maybe heard me use a lot, and it's the analogy of the child and the parent. In this analogy, there's two beings, there's two entities. And the child is representative here of our childhood wounding, our uncertainties, the things we often felt as a child when we couldn't make sense of the world, and we felt alone or abandoned or betrayed or scared or unsafe. Those are the things that are often arising that we get so lost in that we're like, I don't know how to love that. I have no access to love. All I've got is the fear or the pain. So the child represents those traumas, difficulties, conditioning, programming. The parent is representative of pure love, unwavering, steadfast love, without the fear, without the doubt, without the pain. And a child that is hurt, that is scared, wants to be held in love. So we practice in our meditations the knowing of that love so that it is available. when we're feeling the pain. We don't get so lost in the pain that we can't access the love because it's been awakened again and again and again. And every awakening, it grows in our knowing of it. It's already our wholeness. It's already the boundless, unwavering grace of love. The awakening is the knowing of it more and more and more and more. It's like waking up, waking up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. At first, you're a little bit awake and kind of awake and very groggy, but after a while, you are awake. And that love is present. So, in this analogy, if you don't have that awakened sense of who you really are, true love, then when you're in the pain, in the difficulty, in the triggered state, and you're trying, and somebody's saying, you got to love yourself through the pain, that the pain is arising because it wants to be loved. And you're saying, I have no access to love in this practice. That love is present enough so that the pain can be felt and it doesn't overwhelm the love, that it doesn't completely veil the love. But you need a practice, right? To really strengthen that knowing, that abidance of the loving awareness, consciousness that you truly are. So let's take this analogy a little bit further. Imagine the child is afraid because it believes there is a monster in the closet. Now, there's not, of course, really a monster in the closet, but the child has a belief that there is. And we get lost in our beliefs of unworthiness and unlovability, of not being safe. We get lost in our mind's beliefs. So the child believes there's a monster in the closet. Would it be at all valuable if the child were alone and being told or hearing the instruction, just stop believing there's a monster in the closet? It does not, just stop it, just stop it, just stop it, just stop it. No, it needs an adult in the room. It needs some truth. Now, if the parent shows up and the parent also believes that there's a monster in the closet, then they're not going to be really any good whatsoever. And that's the experience of saying, I don't know how to love myself through this pain because all there is the monster in the closet. There's no adult in the room knowing that there isn't. So the adult doesn't believe there's a monster in the closet, and they come and they hold that child and they gently, while providing them security and love and comfort and compassion, they slowly open the door to the closet, they turn on the light, and they let the child explore and recognize that the monster isn't real. This is self-love. To access, to know true love, not a loving thought, not a loving idea, not a loving action, but true, unwavering love, the grace of love that we all truly are, which is consciousness, unconditional loving awareness. To have that awakened enough that it's present, so we don't get totally lost in the pain, but we can access that because we have practiced it and come into a faith and a knowing of that love through our meditations and our studies and our conversations and our practices. So in our practices, we come to recognize this otherness as the witness. I am the witness to the experience of fear, to the experience of doubt, to the experience of self-deprecation, of not feeling worthy, of being afraid. I am the witness, the unconditional loving awareness of the egoic activity of conditioning and programming. Two. There's a sense of two. It's not two. You are the consciousness and you are the human experience arising within that consciousness. But most of us are so lost in the human experience that we forget our divine nature, our divine truth. And that is the cause of suffering. The illusion of separation, the illusion that we are only the separate self and that we are not the oneness of love. The illusion of separation is the cause of all suffering. So we practice knowing that loving presence that is the essence, the essential nature of our being, of our truth. So that when we really start to feel the pains and the struggles and the difficulties and the stories that go on in our head of whatever they are, that cause fear and doubt and uncertainty and a sense of failure and not enoughness, that when those arise, when the monster in the closet presents itself, there has to be a parent in the room. There has to be a true love to be brought to the pain. And that love doesn't need the fear or the pain to just go away in order to be okay again. The loving parent, in this analogy, that love holds you, holds the story, holds space for the story to arise and pass. Not to be squashed and pushed away and made wrong and shamed. A loving parent wouldn't shame the child for feeling fear. An unhealthy parent would, which is just, an unhealthy parent is just an unhealed child. But true love would never shame the personal self for experiencing what it's experiencing. Its traumas, its conditioning, its programming. And it holds space so that can arise and pass without shame. Because imagine the unhealthy parent telling the child who comes to them with their pain and their fear and their uncertainty and saying, "Oh my God, really? You're feeling that? Oh, that's such weakness. Stop it. Grow up. Stop it. That's stupid. You shouldn't feel that. Come on, buck up. Suck it up." It's wrong to feel that way. It's bad to feel that way. It's unattractive to feel that way. It's a nuisance to me as the unhealthy parent for you to feel that way. I need you to get your act together so that I am not burdened with your pain. That's the unhealthy parent in this analogy. The healthy parent, true love, will hold that child for as long as necessary and love them every second of the experience. And let them know that they are safe and that they too are loved. Not just loved, but they themselves are loved. And I'll end with this. It's not that the parent doesn't also feel the pain of the child with empathy. with care, with love. It's this beautiful blending of the witness and the experience, where the witness can feel the experience fully and not get lost in it. And this is like the parent holding their child and feeling their pain, but not getting lost in it. The child is lost in their pain. It's not going to do any good if the parent gets lost in their pain as well. But it also doesn't mean that the parent is not feeling their pain. So we start to learn how to feel our pain, how to feel our difficulty, how to feel our fear, our uncertainty, with infinite compassion and unwavering love. And then we can feel it fully, knowing we cannot be destroyed, and really we, the true unconditional loving awareness of consciousness that we are, cannot get lost. But this only is possible when we have a practice of awakening that unwavering grace of being again and again and again. And how do you do that? You study. You practice. You learn various meditations, inquiries, paths. You learn to walk the path back home to who you already are. And that's why I've got my course, the Living Beyond the Noise course, available to help learn how to walk that path to the full awakening of this unwavering grace of being, so that it is always present and available whenever we find ourselves in or at the effect of our conditioning, our programming, our wounding, our narrative. Whenever we're lost, starting to feel lost in the dream of self, the ideas of self, the beliefs of self, they're all constructs. When we start to feel lost in that, we can have a study and a practice that has awakened true love. So how do you do it? You practice, you study, you make the knowing of your spiritual truth a center point of your life. You make knowing thyself the most important thing in your life. To know the full dimensionality of yourself as a human spiritual being. The oneness that we all share, expressing itself as an individuated soul expression, inhabiting a body, mind, ego, human experience for a brief moment in time. Well, our concept of time. To know yourself fully, the full dimensionality of your being, so you don't just experience your egoic construct of self, but you experience that as a vehicle to evolve, to grow for a soul to evolve and grow through the vehicle of our humanity. And all of that is happening within the embrace of unconditional loving awareness. And we are all of that. So a practice of knowing thyself fully is the path to ultimate freedom. And in the description below, you will find a link to my course, Living Beyond the Noise. Beyond the noise of our mind, beyond the noise of our conditioning, beyond the noise of our programming, living in the true grace of being. All right, my friends, blessings. Be well. Much love.